As creatives, we often look to other outlets for inspiration. We look to people who've already created or everyday moments to spark our next brilliant idea. We do this a lot and can become reliant on it. What we don't realize is that living inside us is a literal creative goldmine just waiting to be explored. Today, we are going to talk about this creative goldmine, how to find it, and how to harness it. Let's go. In today's world, we are so bombarded by other people. When we go online, we just have opinions coming at us at work, on the street. We're just so overstimulated by everybody else's opinions and ideas about how we should live and what we should be doing. We are also flooded with an insane amount of creativity, whether it's new books that are coming out, new artists to follow, new films, just aesthetic things to look at and appreciate. This is wonderful, of course, but it can also be dangerous because what happens is we start to lose ourselves within everybody else. We lose ourselves and our ideas and what we had initially set out to do in the noise of what is going on around us. It confuses our true purpose. Of course, we want to engage and be involved in our creative communities, but at the end of the day, creativity starts and ends with you. So to locate our creative goldmine is basically just to look inside and get nostalgic. Your most unique aspect is your own experience. So why not put down the phone and turn the TV off, turn off the distractions, and start scrolling, metaphorically, through your life and use that as inspiration. Okay, so we know where to find our creative goldmine. It's just sitting there inside of us. It's a little bit more complicated than that though, so here are some next steps to help you harness those memories and creativity living inside of you. What were you born into? If you had a Wikipedia page, what would it say? Once an artist has become notable in a field, we often naturally become curious about their life and want to know more aspects of it. For example, I am a big David Lynch fan, and I know that he moved around as a child due to his father's job, but he spent a lot of time in Spokane, Washington, and I know that place specifically because of David Lynch, and it's not the most exciting place to grow up. It was quite suburban, and this had a big impact on the films that David Lynch made and the themes that were addressed, notably in films like Blue Velvet. I even read once that the scene where Isabella Rossellini, Dorothy, comes out of the house naked, that scene was actually pulled from something that had happened to David Lynch and that he had seen in his childhood. So if Lynch can use these early memories and links to places that he grew up in, why can't we? So investigate your history. Where did you grow up and how did that shape you? You might find by asking these questions that when you go back through your work, you might see a thread that you hadn't already noticed. Another huge point of influence for many creative people and arguably anybody is our parents. Their impact on your upbringing will likely show up in your work somewhere. So why not address this? I know that this might be painful for some people, but you can use something like that and put it into your work and use it as a way to kind of process. Looking back at our childhood and our parents, what they were interested in, can also sometimes act as a way to point you in the right direction of what you were meant to do, what your great purpose is. An example here would be art house filmmaker Jim Jarmusch, whose mother was a film reviewer. So she would take him to work at the theater and he would watch double features of things. Obviously being exposed to all of this and cinema, he has absorbed all of that, and that has made him want to be a director and a really great one at that. Obviously, that's a very fortunate example. Yours could be the opposite, where maybe you were discouraged to do something, but maybe there's another skill there that was passed down to you through something else that you were pushed into, and you can find a way for those two things to kind of collide. At the end of the day, art really is just emotion, and we put so much of ourselves into what we create, whether we can see it or not, whether we want to or not. So it's really worth investigating these things. The more we explore ourselves through our art, the better our art will be. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was saying how puberty is the most rapid stage of growth that a human being will ever go through. And it delved into this more. I found it so interesting. And the host was saying how you're a completely different person post-puberty as you were pre-puberty. And this is both within you and how you feel, but also how the world views you. So these formative years are really powerful, and they're great to look back on because it will tell you so much about yourself. What did you get really into? What kind of clubs did you join? Did you love sports and the outdoors? Did that peter off at a certain stage? Were you somebody who read a lot of books in your room and you weren't really keen on socializing? Were you really into punk or hardcore music and hated being told what to do and really resented having to be at school? Were there different relationships or social situations that had a very big impact on you? I remember so many first feelings from those formative years, both good and bad, and I believe that they have shaped me in such a huge way for who I am now. And I often come back to those kind of core values and beliefs or feelings. I also distinctively remember those like jaw-dropping moments that I was first exposed to someone like David Lynch, or first heard certain albums, or, realized that art existed and it was a thing in the world, or I found other people that liked what I liked, and the feeling of that connection. I think as we get older, we get so far away from those feelings, and as artists and creatives, we could do so well tapping back into that feeling and kind of reigniting it a little bit, and then using that in our work to push us forward. Basically, these first two steps are just about investigating and rediscovering who you are, because I think with social media now and trends and us living our lives so publicly, we can just get so lost in the noise and we forget who we really are. A great tool to do this a little bit more in depth is this book that I recently got by the School of Life. If you don't know about the School of Life, I will drop a link below. Really great institution, I suppose, resource. And the founder has written a lot of other books about philosophy. I'll just link them below because they're such good things to read. But this book in specific, Who Am I?, runs through very in-depth if you are wanting to do more work in this space on who you are from inception all the way to kind of the other end, and really do a lot of self-discovery, prompts and different activities. This is really great. It can be a little bit confronting at times, but I think if you are an artist who really wants to like make an impact or have a message with your work, or just sort of open yourself up and kind of unblock those things, this would be such a great thing to do. So once you've done this investigative work, whether that is in a dedicated book like this one here that I spoke of, or it's just in a journal, it can be really super simple like that, then you can look through and try and find some connecting points or some themes. In creative work, it's often really helpful to work to some kind of constraint, but walk the line of not being too prescriptive, which can be very difficult. But I think finding themes in what you've written down or the work you've done will help to then guide your next project or whatever it is that you're going to embark on. So looking at things like emotions, are there particular emotions that seem to be cropping up again and again throughout your life from childhood? Is it a place? Maybe a lot of your memories are attached to a place because, you stayed in the same place for a long time, or maybe you miss it. Maybe you need to go back there. Maybe you center your project around that and the things that represent that particular location or that house. Maybe it's tied to a person, and maybe that's something that you want to investigate further. Maybe you need to interview them, ask them questions, and then use that to empower the next creative project. Maybe there's something really deep, like a traumatic event that you have been kind of putting off dealing with, and your creativity is a great place for you to process this. There are a myriad of different things that could come up here. It could be really light and it's just, you figure out you really like the color yellow and that's what you're going to focus on in your photography. It could be something as simple as that, or it could be something that's really deep and moving and it's something that's going to take you kind of years to unpack. The point is it will be different because we are all different. And that's really the story that we want to be telling. We want to put our uniqueness at the forefront of our creativity and stop looking to all of these platforms and trends and things that tell us what to do. That's not the point of being a creative. If you want to tap into your true creative genius and create work that's really fulfilling and that other people are going to be impacted by, then you really can't sidestep doing an activity like this and becoming a more self-aware person who is able to reflect on past events, where you're at now, where you want to go. You and your story are all you really need to be an artist, and that should be very comforting. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Let me know below if you've ever done anything like this before, or if you have recommendations of things that other creatives can check out. I really want this channel to be a place where people can express how they feel, what they're going through creatively, and also use to bring motivation and inspiration to whatever it is that you are trying to create in this world. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.